So I'm super excited today because I'm going to show you my first attempt at sourdough bread. I'm a little nervous if it'll come out right because I've never really made bread before in my life. So I just kind of followed the directions in the Trim Healthy Mama book as far as getting your sourdough starter started. So I'm going to kind of show you here what mine looks like. It's day 7, day 8, maybe day 8. So this is what mine looks like. Okay, so this is where I keep my starter every day. It's just sitting in my Instant Pot just because the kids won't mess with it. It's up off the counter. I just keep a paper towel over it so nothing gets in there. But you can see it's kind of bubbly, and it has a yeasty smell, like almost like beer bread. Like it smells like I dumped a bottle of like darker beer in there. It's a very pleasant yeasty smell. There should be at least 7 cups in there, so that's what I'm going to use today for my recipe to start my bread loaves. Okay, so the recipe calls for 5 cups of starter, so I've got my 5 cups of starter measured out. You can kind of see the bubble, it's kind of fluffy and bubbly. To get the starter started, you have to use rye flour is what it calls for. So use a cup of rye flour and a cup of purified water every day, and you just add a cup and a cup, like to the starter every day until the 7th day. By the 7th day, you'll notice that it's kind of bubbly and it smells that nice yeasty smell. And if that's the case, then you've been successful in starting your starter. For the recipe in the book, you'll also need spelt flour, but you don't need spelt flour until after your starter's already started. So your starter just consists of rye flour and water, and then it catches the wild yeast in the air. One of the important things, I got these flours out of the bulk bin at my local Winco. It's super cheap, like they're not expensive at all. One of the most important things is to use a purified water. Don't use tap water because it has chlorine in it. Another important thing to mention is stir it with a wooden spoon because metal can affect the yeast, like it can kill the yeast, so don't use a metal spoon. What else? Oh, use a nice clean bowl. So what I did is I alternated between 2 bowls of the same size. And I just, not every day, maybe every other day, I would clean out my bowl with soap and water, run super hot water over it, let it dry, so it was nice and clean. So like every second day, I would put it in a fresh bowl and wash the other one. So that worked for me. Like I got a really good starter. I was successful. I'm kind of surprised. I was nervous because I don't know if you can see outside, but we have like 4 feet of snow on the ground. Like my trampoline's like buried. It's been so cold here, and I was just really nervous that because it was so cold that my yeast wouldn't grow, but it has grown fine. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna start following the recipe. So it starts with this 5 cups of starter, and then I'm gonna add 3 1/4 cup water, 3 1/4 cup rye flour, and 4 3/4 cup organic spelt flour, and some mineral salt. So I'm gonna get that done. I got a huge bowl. This is like my biggest bowl in my house, and that's what they said to mix it in, like a huge like soup pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting that together, and I'll let you guys know what it looks like. Hi guys, I'm back. I just wanted to show you I've added all the ingredients. I'm just kind of mixing right now. As you can see, this makes a huge batch of bread. So the instructions say to go ahead and fill 4 medium loaf pans. So I'm just going to keep mixing this. There are instructions on how to mix it really well. You can put it in a bread mixer, but I'm going to be hand mixing. So I'll let you guys know what it looks like once it's mixed and in the bread pans. Okay, I kind of wanted to show you guys how Pearl says to mix this. So you just use a stick. So this stick I got, it's like a broomstick handle that my husband had sanded down. I use it for my rolling pin and to do tortillas. So what she says is just to take the pan, kind of put it against your stomach and go like this in like clockwise motion. And she said to do it for a good 10 minutes. She jokes that it's an arm workout. Of course, if you have a bread machine, it would, you know, do the kneading for you. This isn't a like floury bread that you can just turn, floury dough that you can just put on the counter and knead. So this is kind of how you knead this bread, is just in this like clockwise motion, it's starting to get very glutinous, very thick. Like the more you do this, the more you'll notice that, you know, it's getting thicker. One nice thing about sourdough bread is it's one of the most low glycemic breads, and the reason is because the yeast actually eats a lot of the starch in the bread, so it ends up being much lower sugar content, if that makes sense, starch content that turns into sugar. We're about halfway through, so I'm just gonna scrape the sides. Make sure all of our dough is getting incorporated into the kneading. This is an arm workout. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray my 4 loaf pans. So she says to use a water moistened cereal bowl to fill these pans up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with this. I'm gonna use this bowl here, and I'm just gonna start scooping. Like I said, this is my first time, so I have no idea how much is gonna go in each pan, but I'm just gonna kind of start divvying it out evenly until I feel like we're where we need to be. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so excited right now. The last step is to put an X on the top of each of your loaves so that when they bake, the crust has room to, it kind of guides the crust as far as where to split to kind of vent and allow that growth. So at this point, what we want to do is just put these loaves somewhere where they won't be disturbed for a good 12 hours. So I'm just gonna leave them here on the stove. I'm a little bit nervous because it's really cold here. Like, my house isn't cold, it's probably 68 degrees, but like in general, outside it's really cold. These need to ferment and rise for at least 12 hours. So I'm just gonna kind of leave them like this. I might put a few paper towels over them just so that nothing gets, you know, in them, and just kind of leave them undisturbed for the next 12 hours.